Hey there, YouTubers. Kitten Hoarder here, and you're watching Session Report, the show that takes you to the gamer's table to share in the surprises that come out during play. And today we are going to be playing Pathfinder adventure card game, Mummy's Mask. And I am actually planning on playing through, perhaps even the entire adventure path. We'll see how far I get with that. I mean, you saw what happened with my Pandemic Legacy playthroughs. But I'm planning on playing through at least the first few scenarios on this channel, and the reason that I happen to be playing the game now is because I'm working on the adventure guide. If you don't know what the adventure guide is, basically Pathfinder adventure card game is a cooperative card game that follows the storyline of Pathfinder RPG setting, different adventure modules that they've released. But the storyline in the card game is sort of sparse. So the adventure guide, the point of that is that I'm adding on to the story of the card game, including details from the RPG as well as anything that seems appropriate for me to add in, just to give a little bit more drama to the game as it unfolds. And so I'm working on that. You can probably, I'm assuming by the time I put this video up, I will have something for you to look at in a link. So I'll give you a link. At the very least, I'll give you a link to the development thread. And you can see the sort of deeper story behind the scenario that I'm playing. But for now, I'm going to begin with the first scenario, and just sort of, I'm not sure if I ever actually got done saying it, but the reason that I'm playing this game now is to sort of get a good sense of the storyline of the base missions, so that I can work those into my overarching storyline, because that stuff is not covered in the RPG modules. So, let's do it, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to explain sort of the basics of the Pathfinder adventure card game while I set up the first scenario. So first of all, we have an adventure path. And the adventure path is the overarching story of the entire thing. This adventure path is set in Osirian. And Osirian is a sort of a land of deserts and sandstorms and the harsh sun and the elements, but also great pyramids and tombs. And this just happens to be a sort of a tomb robbing Indiana Jones style adventure. So right now I'm setting up the locations. The locations are made up of specific numbers of certain types of cards. You can see the deck list here. So my locations for this adventure are going to be, or this scenario, are going to be the Ruined Temple, which has 1 monster, the Stoneware Passages, which has 2 monsters, the Quarry, which has 3 monsters, and the Precious Mine, which has 2 monsters. I'll put the other monsters up here in case I need to summon and encounter a monster, because that is something that happens during the game. You're supposed to sort of keep this box handy and just grab it out of the box. I like to just keep them up sort of above the play area, a little out of the way. And I keep them in a face-up pile, but I draw from the bottom. The face-up is so that I know what I'm looking at. Okay, so I'm going to get the barriers out. So basically there's 2 types of bad cards, there's 2 types of bad cards, monsters and barriers. And monsters and barriers together form banes. The good cards are called boons. So I have put monsters into the deck, and now I'm putting barriers into the deck. Both monsters and barriers have a check to defeat. The difference being monsters, you can do a combat check to defeat them. Barriers, you generally need to do something else, like a dexterity, or what are some other skills? Dexterity, maybe a constitution check, depending on what type of barrier it is. In any case, there's one barrier here, 1, 2, 3 there, 1, and 1, 2 there. And I'll put the others in this face-up pile here. So, the check to defeat. What is the next thing on the list? Weapons. The check to defeat. Basically, you look at your character's skills. So let's take Estra, for example. And let's say I'm doing a combat check. Combat check basically takes your strength die as base. So she would only be able to roll a d4. If I'm fighting this toad, it requires a 6 to defeat. So she would be unable to defeat the toad unarmed. Luckily, she is a spiritualist, so she's going to have spell cards in her hands that she can play in place of a combat check. That she'll have a much better chance of getting that done. Basically, though, you encounter a monster, you have to do a combat check against that monster. If you succeed at the check, the monster is banished from your location. If you do not succeed in the check, the monster is shuffled back into your location, generally. And you take damage equal to the difference between your roll and the check to defeat value. So if I had rolled a d4, let's say, and I rolled a 3, I would take 3 damage. Damage is discarding cards out of your hand. Your hand is, well, your deck is your life in the Pathfinder adventure card game. And at the end of your turn, you must draw back up to fill your hand. So discarding cards out of your hand as damage will eventually kill you. I'm also filling these decks with boons. And boons are things like weapons, armor, items, spells, and allies that you can acquire and put into your deck. These are good for a couple of reasons. One thing is, it's always good to acquire a new boon, because that's another card that you have for this scenario that, again, it counts toward your life. Some cards can be refreshed when you play them, or recharged, which means put them on the bottom of your deck. And some are just discarded when you play them. But even if you don't play the card, if you have it in your hand, that's another point of life that you can use. Unfortunately, you do have to discard down to your hand size at the end of your turn. All right, 1, 2, 1, 1. Putting some spells in. So the boon cards are played out of your hand, and they have various abilities. Way too much variety for me to get into it at the moment. But I will say that one thing they all have in common, in general, there's always exceptions, but they all have the check to acquire instead of a check to defeat. Now, this is different from the barriers and the monsters. What am I looking at? Armors? Okay, so I got 1, 1, 1, and 0. This is different from the barriers and the monsters. The barriers and the monsters, if you fail the check, it gets shuffled back into the deck. If you succeed at the check, it's banished, which means it's returned to the box, or in my case, to the top of this pile. The boons are the exact opposite. If you fail a check... If you fail a check to acquire a boon, in general, that boon is then banished. Right? It's lost. You get 1 chance to acquire it per scenario. If you succeed at a check to acquire a boon, it gets put into your hand. And again, these are good because they add on to your, essentially, your life for that scenario. And at the end of the scenario, you have to basically rebuild your deck. Your deck is made up of a number of cards similar to this deck list, of course not barriers and monsters in it. All right, what are we looking at? We're looking at items. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. At the end, these should each have 10 cards in them. So your deck is made up of a set of specific numbers of certain types of cards. At the end of the scenario, you can rebuild your deck using all the cards that you have basically in your hand, deck, and discard pile. So cards that you didn't start the scenario with but acquired during the scenario could replace cards that you began the scenario with. And gradually, over the course of the entire adventure, your deck gets better and better and better. New cards are introduced to these decks that you can potentially get cards from as with each adventure. There's basically 6 or 7 adventures. There is a total of 7 adventures in this adventure path. So with each adventure, new cards are added, both bad cards and good cards, that sort of refresh the offer and give you some even better things to get. Okay. This was Allies. Dang it. I looked at that card. Of which there's not a lot in this scenario, it looks like. 1, 1. Okie dokie. And lastly, we have the Blessings. And the Blessings are a type of boon, but they're sort of special. Blessings are also the time limit for the scenario. You have 30 blessings in the blessing deck, and I'm going to create the blessing deck right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 30. Okay, so this is the Blessings deck. I'm going to put it up here. So this is our timer for the scenario. At the end, I believe, or it might be the beginning of each turn, you discard a card from the Blessings deck. I'll check that rule. And I need to put some blessings into these locations, and then the rest of the blessings go up here. At the beginning of each turn, you discard a card from the Blessings deck. When you would need to discard a card from the Blessings deck, but you can't because it is empty, you lose the scenario. So that is a timer on the scenario. Pretty much the only other way to lose the scenario is everybody dies. Preferably, we won't have anybody die, because when a character dies in Pathfinder Adventure card game, that character is completely lost. All of the items that they had, all of the upgrades to their deck are gone. All of the feats that they've gained are gone. It's a big mess. And you basically have to start over with a new character. So, you definitely do not want death to occur. And then losing the scenario due to time, that is just something that happens. Okay. So one last thing now. The goal of the scenario is to capture the villain. The villain for this scenario is a Bone Crusher Master. He's a sort of a rogue gnoll. And there's also 3 henchmen. At the beginning of the scenario, I'm shuffling up these villain and 3 henchmen cards. And I'm going to go ahead and roll a die. That was a 2. And then I'm going to roll another die. That was a 3. Just to get it good and shuffled. I'm going to add 1 to each location. So in one of these locations, in addition to the 10 cards, there is a villain hiding. The goal of the scenario is to find and defeat the villain. So we're going to be going to these various locations, exploring them, finding some boons, finding some banes, and eventually defeating the villain. Unfortunately, the villain escapes if it is defeated unless all the other locations are closed. When you encounter a villain, anybody at a different location has a chance to temporarily close that location. To temporarily close the location, you need to do a check, usually. If you succeed, the location is temp closed. And what was I going to say? And the villain can't escape to that location. However, if it's just temporarily closed, as soon as the encounter is done, if you haven't won the scenario, that location is open again. You can also permanently close the location, and you can permanently close the location when you defeat a henchman. When you defeat a henchman, you get a chance to do the check to close the location. You don't have to do it. For instance, some locations might say, bury a blessing. You don't have to do that, but you don't get another chance until the location deck is empty. If the location deck is empty, you can basically, instead of exploring, you can attempt to close that location. But mainly, you want to try and do it by defeating the henchman. Finally, when you defeat the villain, that automatically closes the villain's location. If I don't defeat the villain, that villain escapes. And when the villain escapes, I shuffle cards from the blessing deck together with the villain onto each open location, a location that's not been closed. And basically, one of those random open locations gets the villain, the other random open locations get blessings, and I have to go track down the villain again. If the villain is defeated, but one of the locations is open, then the villain escapes to an open location. So the big difference is if the villain's not defeated, the cards come from the blessings deck. Otherwise, they come from this deck here. And you close the villain's location before the villain escapes if the villain is defeated. If the villain is not defeated, then you don't close the villain's location before the villain attempts to escape. So the villain might escape back to the same location. Okay, so let's meet my characters for this scenario. Actually, for this campaign. So, first one is Estra. Estra is a female human spiritualist. Estra spent her youth in Isker, plying the trade of a charlatan medium. Her seances were among the best, ignoring the minor detail that they were woven of lies. That changed when she met a knight named Onair. For a time they lived an honest life until he perished under the claws of a dragon. When she returned to the sideshow, her seances became real, summoning Onair's spirit. Now Estra atones for her wrongs by contacting the dead on their loved one's behalf. She's a pretty cool character. First of all, I'm going to draw her hand size of 5 cards. Okay, have to redraw. Have to redraw until I get Onair in my hand. I know this is going to be it. What? Where did her fella go? There he is. Okay. So, let's just reshuffle this and try that again. Okay. So, Estra is a pretty cool character. First I have to draw my starting hand and make sure that Onair is in her starting hand because that is her preferred card. You basically have to keep drawing until you get your preferred card in your starting hand. So again, I have to discard. She's going to be annoying, I can tell. Okay, so I've got Onair in her hand. I will shuffle back up the rest of her deck. So she's cool because she has some pretty neat special abilities. First, this Onair card is pretty cool. You can use it to draw a spell out of your discard pile, or add 1d10 to your strength, constitution, or perception checks. She's got really bad strength and constitution, and perception, because she doesn't have a perception skill. So, but she can call upon the ghost of her dead husband to do the checks, to help her out with that. That's pretty cool. She can also recharge a spell to examine the top 2 cards of her location deck, and if she meets an undead creature, she can encounter it. She can discard a spell or a blessing to reduce damage dealt to her by 3, so she doesn't really need armor. And she can add 1d8 to her check against a card with the undead trait. She also has the ability to cast divine spells, which is very, very, very important in this game. If you don't have the ability to cast divine spells, you basically do not have a healer. And with this many characters, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. I only am playing with 2 characters. Alright, so let's move things over. I'm pretty sure I'm basically done with this box. We can make room. Okay. Perfect. Now there's going to be plenty of room. Okay. So we'll put this precious mine over here. We'll put this quarry here. We'll move these down a little bit. We will put these stonework passages, we'll put this over here, this and this over here, and we'll put that there. Alright, now she can begin at any location. She does not want to go to the ruined temple, because you have to bury cards with the divine trait. She doesn't have any bludgeoning, so the quarry doesn't seem to make a difference. She's going to go to the stonework passages to start out with. Okay. So now we have Tup. Tup is a goblin. I be Tup, alone I creep, master of stickmen, rider of sheep. Build a bonfire big and tall, feed it, burn them all. Tup is clothed from head to toe, not a goblin, no, no, no. Trust me, Longshanks, you no fear. Tup is terrible, Tup is here. Alright, Tup is very cool. So first of all, Tup has this like flaming ram called Deliverance. It looks like a hell ram that he rides around on from place to place. So that's really cool. And also, he's a pyromaniac, which means he likes to burn up cards. He just burned the cards. His special ability involves banishing cards. Basically, he can, for a combat check, banish a card to use his arcane skill plus 1d8, and add the attack, fire, and magic traits, which counts as playing a spell. So he can banish any card out of his hand to basically play it as a fire spell. And when he banishes a card that is not for playing its power, that's a spell, he can draw a new spell from the box. So he can just go poo, 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 really burn through those spells and potentially get some really good ones. And then when another character at his location attempts a check, he can recharge a card to add 4 and the fire trait. Each character at this location other than him is then dealt 1d4 fire damage, which is pretty bad, but I think we can live with it. I'm going to have Tup begin at the Ruined Temple, which has a lot of spells. And let's draw his starting hand of 6. Now the hand size, the larger hand size actually makes you more vulnerable 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's good. He started with at least one spell. Plus he gets his Deliverance. Okay, so I'll put their hands up there, and we can actually begin. Okie dokie. I almost forgot. I have to read the background story. So, this is the overall story. Osirian, the land of the pharaohs, is home to ancient cultures and creatures seen nowhere else. The power of the elements is strong in this land, as is that of the Osirian gods. Adventurers from all across Galarian brave the burning sun to uncover riches of a lost history buried in the tombs of generations past. Dark secrets lie here, and the soul of a forgotten pharaoh has risen to begin a new kingdom ruled by the undead. Bum bum bum. This is the first adventure. Cross the pharaoh's land. You arrive on the eastern shores of Osirian, eager to reach the riches promised in the tombs of Wati. Wati is a city that's like one of the major cities of Osirian, and they've recently opened up their tombs. They have an entire necropolis, an entire tomb city. They've recently opened those up for basically exploration from adventurers, and they're holding a lottery to see basically which tombs get to be explored by whom. And so this is what we're on our way to do. We're on our way to explore these tombs in the necropolis. All right. Weeks of unforgiving desert lie before you. You learn to respect and harness the elements, else become consumed. In this land that eats the young while the ancient are undying, there are 1,000 ways to meet your fate. You pass the sand-buried skeletons of abandoned caravans and wonder which Osirian god cast down Wrath this time. And finally, we have this is the current scenario. Oh, by the way, the crossing the Pharaoh's land, our Scourge die, which I'll get to in a second, well, when it comes up, is 1d4. When you are dealt poison damage, if the damage is not reduced by at least 1, suffer the Scourge curse of poisoning. So I actually forgot to get those Scourge cards out, so I'll need to get those out. But let's see what today's scenario is. You land on the eastern shores of Osirian, eager to join any caravan headed toward the half-dead city of Wati. Falson Deek, a trader with the Aspis Consortium, offers you a job keeping his gold and silver safe through the desert. Trick is, the shipment has yet to arrive from the mine in the Shining Mountains. Time to investigate. So, Falson Deek and Haddon Hoppert, I guess are members of this caravan. They're going to be traders available to me if I can complete this scenario. During the scenario, when I defeat a Bane that has the construct trait, I have to draw, or I must draw an item from the box. When I defeat a Bane that has the construct trait. So I want to be fighting these constructs. Who knows? Why are there constructs in the mines? I'm not sure. Okay. So we're investigating why these precious gems have not arrived from the mines. Okie dokie. I got out my scourges in case I need them. So, let's begin with Estra. Okay, first we advance the Blessings deck. And now we're going to explore. So we explore, we flip over the top card. Wall size. It's an obstacle, it's a trap, it's basic. By the way, damage dealt to me here in this location is reduced by 1. I can succeed at a wisdom or survival check with a difficulty of 6 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to close it. And on closing, I may examine the top card of any location deck. So this is like the Stonework Passages. I assume this is like when I get out, I guess, I can see what else is around. Alright. So I can do Dexterity Acrobatics or Disable or Knowledge. I'm going to do... Knowledge is Wisdom plus 2, and my Wisdom is a D12. So I'm going to try Disable or Knowledge. I'm going to try a Knowledge check to disable these wall sides. And voila. Alright, that was a 3. So 3 plus 2 is a 5. I would need a 6 to succeed at this check. So, I am dealt 1d4 combat damage, then I must recharge my hand, put this card on top of its location deck. So let's see how much combat damage I'm dealt. 2. Reduced by 1, so I'm dealt just 1 combat damage, which is actually fine. I think what I'm going to do is I want to keep Onair in my hand. So I'm going to discard this remove curse card as combat damage. Discarding cards this early in the game is not good. And then I have to put this card back. So this was a huge disappointment. I think I'm basically done with her turn. So I'm going to move on to Tup's turn. Okay, so for Tup, he is going to... he's just, I think, just going to stick where he is, and he's going to explore. So when he plays a card that has the divine trait, he must bury it. Okay. And reveal. Okay, a spell. Perfect. So, to acquire the spell, I must attempt an intelligence, arcane, wisdom, or divine check. He has not a very good wisdom, but he's got a pretty nice arcane. He's got a d12 plus 1. And I believe he can use this Blessing of the Elements to actually roll an additional die on this. Let me check that rule. Okay, so this is a rule. A check invokes a trait if it has or is against a card that has that trait. A card invokes a trait if it has that trait. A Bane also invokes a trait if it deals only damage of the type that matches that trait. So this is a check, and it's a check. I don't know if this check has the cold trait. I'm going to have to, I think, actually look that up online. For now, let's just assume I'm not going to play the Blessing, although I think maybe I could. And I'm just going to try my luck with 1d12 plus 1. So I'm going to roll 1d12 plus 1. And it's a 10. Perfect. So that gets added to my hand. I then could play a Blessing to explore, but that doesn't seem... that doesn't seem good because I would have to bury that card. Unfortunately, I then have one extra card in my hand. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to a new location. I'm going to move to the Stonework Passages. So to do that, I'm going to play Deliverance. I'm going to display the card to move, then shuffle it into my new location deck, which is here. When I would banish this card from a location deck, I may add it to Tup's hand instead. Which I believe also means if I encounter the card, I would have to add it to Tup's hand, since there's no check to acquire it. All right. And see, I'm already cheating. I didn't turn over a card. Now we turn over one for Estra. And, ooh, this is good because I got rid of that trap as well. Reveal. Okay, it is light armor. So this would be good to get. It requires a Constitution, Fortitude, Intelligence, or Craft. Her Intelligence is the best out of that, but I don't think I can get an 8. on a D. I don't think I get a 7 on a D8. Also, I realized I forgot to draw up her hand, which I believe happens at the end of your turn. Reset your hand. Let me see. Reset your hand at the end of your turn, which involves discarding down and then drawing up. So she needs to draw a card. Okay, so let's see if Onair can help with this. He can help with a Constitution check. So I could roll 1d10 plus 1d4. I'm going to do that. So let's see if he can help me acquire this card. We're going to roll 1d10, which should look like this, and 1d4 for my Constitution check. And we just need to get a 5. Okay, that's good. That's a 13. So she gains the crocodile skin. Lamalar. And then she's going to use the compass. She's going to recharge the compass to move over to where Tup just left, the ruined temple. And then examine the top card of the location deck. Okay. And it's another spell. Good, it's one she can grab too. Alright, so she's going to end her turn there. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, so she needs to draw up a card. And what do you know? It was Onair. Then that seems correct, and then we discard another blessing, and we're going to check out these stonework passages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should have discarded something. I'm going to discard Blade Guard. That's probably a really bad idea. I'm going to discard the remove curse. No way to get rid of curses, but whatever. Okay. And we're going to explore a skeletal jackal. Ooh. Alright. The skeletal jackal is immune to the cold, mental, and poison traits. If the check to defeat has the piercing or slashing trait, the difficulty is increased by 3. So, a skeletal jackal, I believe I can use... Well, I can't use the unshakable chill because that's cold. But I can use Immolate against it for sure. So I'm going to play Immolate. For my combat check, I can discard this card to use my arcane or divine skill plus 2d4. My arcane skill is a d12 plus 1, so I'm rolling a d12 plus 2d4 plus 1. And then I can attempt a check to recharge it instead of discarding it. Okay, so that's 2, 4, plus 7. That is well above what it need to defeat it. So the skeletal jackal is defeated. Then I have to attempt to recharge this card. So an arcane or divine 7 check. So I'm going to try the arcane check. I need 7 on a d12 plus 1. And that was an 8. Perfect. So that gets recharged. Okie dokie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I could discard the Blessing of the Elements to explore my location. I will not. I will end my turn. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more card, and I'm done. Okay, so we are on Estra's turn. She got a Blessing of Abadar up in there. And let's just encounter the card and begin. Clinging Venom. Oh yeah, that was a spell. So, I can acquire that with Intelligence, Arcane, Divine, or Wisdom. She has a very good Divine skill, so she's going to roll a d12 plus 2, try to get a 4. Ooh, that was a 10. So we got a 12, so we succeeded. Okay. And I can do a Blessing of the Ancients to examine the top card of my location deck, then I may explore my location. You know, I haven't been using her abilities at all. But we'll get into that later. Let's explore the location. A Coal of Uncanny Discernment. Reveal this deck. Add 1d4 to your perception check. So I don't really care that much about getting this. But I will attempt it anyway. She has a d8 in Intelligence. And since I'm going to end my turn after this, I'm going to use Honair to add a d10. So I have a d8 and a d10. Most likely will succeed at this. It was a 9, so I succeeded at the check. Okay. And I may recharge a spell. I'm going to recharge Clinging Venom to examine the top 2 cards of my location deck. If one of them has the undead trait, I may encounter it. Alright, 1, 2. Alright, neither of those are undead, so it goes back like that. And I can end her turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, it's Top's turn. Okay. So, you know what bothers me is there's no weapons. Top, where's your weapons? But he does have spells, at least. So we're gonna... Let's see. It should be an even number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're gonna explore. It's Deliverance. I assume it just goes directly to me. And then we can explore again. Now I can use Blessing of the Elements. I can recharge it. No, I can't because it's not... Dang. Okay, that other one, the Blessing of whatever, you can recharge to, instead of discard to explore, but no. Okay. So I think I am going to discard this Blessing though in order to explore again. Oh no, malfunctioning Death Trap. When I examine this card, which I guess is right now, succeeded a Perception 4 check, or I'm dealt 1 electricity damage, then encounter the card. I think I'm examining it currently. If undefeated, each character at this location is dealt 1d4 electricity damage, then recharges a card. Alright, let me check and make sure that I'm actually examining it right now. Okay, I do not believe that this counts as examining. I'm just encountering the check. So I'm just doing this bottom part, basically. I have a Dexterity, Disable, Stealth, or Intelligence. I have pretty good Dexterity. I don't have a Disable skill. But I can also use the Pommet Clansman to increase my odds. But I don't think it's that big a deal. Because I do have the Crocodile Skin Shield too. So I'm going to just try my 1d8 for dexterity. And yeah, I'm just going to try my 1d8 for dexterity and try and get a 5 or better. You know what? I probably should have used the Pommet Clansman. So I'm going to use him. And I get 1d6. An extra 1d6 because it has the trigger trait. And I got 6. Barely succeeded. Very good. And I've succeeded. And that will end my turn. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in my hand. I will need a 6th card. Okie dokie. Back to Estra. Discard a blessing. And she is going to, I believe, move over to the Stonework Passage. And she's going to explore. She's found a whip. Alright, so no real reason to attempt this because neither of them has a good strength or melee skill. So I'm going to just sort of ignore this one. I'm going to roll her 1d4, and obviously I'm not going to get a 7 on that, so the whip gets banished. And what the heck, I'm going to use my Coal of Uncanny Discernment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. And I'm going to look at the top 2 cards of my deck, of my place. Okay, I've got a Death Hound, which is not an undead, it's just curse. And I've got Collapsing Scaffolding. So I believe I'm going to put the Collapsing Scaffolding on top. And then I'm going to end my turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, it is Tup's turn. We get a blessing. And we're going to examine the top card. It is Collapsing Scaffolding. So, check to defeat, Acrobatics, Dexterity or Perception 4, then Acrobatics, Dexterity or Perception 7. This is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to try to defeat this. And I'm going to do an acrobatics check, which is a dexterity, which is my d8 plus 2. And I got a 6. And then I have to do a same one, but with a 7. And the problem is I want this one to exceed the 7, and also be higher than my first check. So I want this one to be higher. I think what I will do is I think I'm just gonna discard a blessing of the elements in order to add 1 die to the check. So I'm rolling 2d8 plus 1. Is it 1 plus 1? Plus 2. 2d8 plus 2. Alright, good. So I easily exceeded the check. I also exceeded my first attempt at the check. So I've navigated the Collapsing Scaffolding just fine. Okay. And I think I'm just going to end my turn there, so I'm going to draw a card to replace the one I spent. And it is her turn. We will reveal the Death Hound. If the results of both checks to defeat are greater than 11, you may banish a scourge displayed next to your deck. If not, suffer the scourge curse of vulnerability. After you act, succeed a Constitution or Fortitude 8 check or discard a card. So I need to defeat this guy. I'm going to do the Unshakable Chill, because the Unshakable Chill is cool. I can use it to ignore the power of the monster that happens after I act. So first I'm going to play this to use my Arcane or Divine skill plus 1d6. So my Arcane or Divine skill, my Divine is d12 plus 2, d12 plus 2 plus 1d6, that seems plenty. And I'm also going to ignore his after I act ability. Alright, that was 11, 12, 13. That was greater than 11, so I've succeeded at the first check and have not gotten scourged yet. I'm then going to attempt the second check with my Viper Strike. And again, it's going to be Arcane or Divine. It's going to be a d12 plus a d6 plus 2. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. A d12 plus a d6 plus 2. No, it's not a d6. It's 2 d4s. It's even better, actually. A d12, 2 d4s, and 2. Whew! That was close. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So he is defeated. And then I have to see if I can recharge these cards. So let's start with the Unshakable Chill. I needed Arcane or Divine 8 check, so I'm going to try and get an 8. Did not succeed, so that gets discarded. Now we try the Viper Strike. I just need a 6. Ew! No, I did not get the 6 either. Okay. And I think that's going to be it for me. I'm going to draw 2 cards and end my turn. Oh, she got a little porcupine. Okay, it's going to be Tup's turn now. Get a Blessing of the Elements up top. And let's see what's next. Ah, it's a henchman. This is a giant sand eel. The difficulty to defeat is increased by twice the scenario's adventure deck number. If undefeated, shuffle this card into a random open location, blah, 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 blah. Alright, the difficulty to defeat is increased by twice the scenario's adventure deck number. Well, this is adventure deck number 0, because it's base, so there's no number attached to it. So it's just 11. Alright, perfect. I'm going to try Unshakable Chill against this guy. And we're going to recharge a Blessing of the Elements. To roll an additional die. Now, I sort of thought there was a rule that you could play multiple blessings per character in one check. I don't think that's actually, maybe that's not actually true. I know there's a rule that each check you can play 1 card per character for each type. So I could play 1 spell from him, 1 spell from her, if the spell said that I could play it on someone else's turn. But I guess I can just, I'll need to look that rule up too. Alright, so we're going to try this. I'm rolling my Arcane or Divine die. So I'm rolling my Arcane die, which is a d12, plus another die, plus 1d6, plus 1. So we're going to try to chill this guy to the bone. Oh no. 6, 7, 8. So I'm short 3. So, first thing I need to do, if undefeated, shuffle this card into a random open location deck and discard a card. And I assume I still need to take damage. So I can use this. Recharge this card to reduce acid combat or fire damage by 2. Okay, so I'm reducing my damage by 2. I just need to take 1 damage now. And I'm going to discard this Fire Ward Gel as my damage, and then I also have to discard a card. So I guess I'm going to discard this Blade Guard card as that effect. The Sand Eel gets shuffled into a random open location. So there's 4 open locations. He's shuffled into location 1. And then I have to deal with whether I get to recharge my Unshakable Chill. And I hopefully can. Alright. So Unshakable Chill, I believe in myself. It's a 1d12 plus 1. I need to get an 8. Ooh, it was definitely not an 8. Okay, so before I end my turn, I am going to try Cure. So I'm going to roll 1d4 plus 1 random cards from my discard pile. So I got actually 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I get to add almost all of these cards back into my deck. And then I have to banish this card, actually, because I do not have the Divine Skill. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Blade Guard is still discarded. And we're going to shuffle up. And this is banished. And then we're going to draw back up to my hand and start the next turn. Okay, it is Estra's turn. We're going to discard another Blessing. Looks like we're maybe about a third of the way through the deck. And she's going to... Woo! Wait a second here. I discarded one too many cards last time. So I'm going to shuffle this Blade Guard back into my deck. I just realized damage dealt to me is reduced by 1 in the Stonework Passages. Okay. So, we're going to explore. And it's a spell. Good. So you could use it. So she has Divine as Wisdom plus 2. He can't help her with that. She could use a Blessing, but I don't know if that's worth it. We could use Tup. Tup could give her... I think I'm going to have Tup give her 1d4, because this Holy Light is a really good spell, especially against undead things, not living things. It's very powerful. So, Tup's going to add a 1d... he's going to add 4 and the Fire trait to her check. He's adding 4 and the Fire trait to her check. And he's doing this by recharging a card. He's going to recharge the Shock Lizard. Additionally, he's going to display this card next to his location to reduce acid, cold, electricity, fire, and poison damage dealt to characters of the location by 1. Okay, so she gets plus 4 to this check, plus her d12, plus 2, so, or plus, yeah, 2, so that should be easy. 4, 5, 6, 10. Perfect. Okay, so she acquires it, and then she is dealt 1d4 fire damage. Remember, reduced by 1 and reduced by another 1. 4. Darn. Okay, so she got that reduced down to 2. And she is going to then discard a blessing to reduce that damage by 3. She can discard a blessing or spell to reduce damage dealt to her by 3. Okay, perfect. And this, I believe, is just displayed next to this location until it gets closed. Perfect. And that is her turn. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is Tup's turn. And he's going to explore. It's a blessing of the elements. That'll be easy. He just needs pretty much anything. 6. So he's just going to get 1. Can he use charisma? Yeah, he can use charisma. So he's going to use his charisma here. 3? Jeez Louise. Okay, so I guess he's not getting this blessing. And he's going to then display this Deliverance card to move, then shuffle into his location deck. He's going to move back to the Ruined Temple. Because he knows that's where that snake went. Okie dokie. So that was Tup's turn. He then gets to draw 3 cards. Okay. And where are his weapons? Oh, I guess he just has 1 weapon. Okay. And then we have Estra's turn. She's going to explore. It's those effing wall sides again. That's okay, though. We're going to use Honor to add 1d10 to the Strength, Constitution, or Perception check. Strength, Constitution, or Perception. It actually is none of these things. Wow. Okay. So she does have, like I said, a pretty good knowledge skill. But do I have... I'm going to use a Blessing of the Elements. So we're going to discard this Blessing of the Elements to add 1 die to this check. So she's going to roll 2d12 plus 2 for her knowledge. So this should be easy. 15. The wall sides have been taken care of. So now she can try the attempt to close the location. Wisdom or survival check with a difficulty of 6 plus the scenario's adventure deck number. Wisdom or survival. She can do wisdom, that's a d12. She'll just do it now, just a d12. Ew, it was 2. Okay. So she's not going to successfully close it right now, but she can try it again later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is still her hand, so that is her turn. Alright, it is Tup's turn. We're going to flip over a blessing. And we are going to... He doesn't have any blessings in his hand, so if he had to try to close the location, he wouldn't be able to do it. So he's going to go to the quarry. Yeah, he's going to go to the Precious Mine. And hopefully not fight any constructs there. So he's going to the Precious Mine, and he's going to examine the first card, and it's a potion of healing, which would be very nice to have. It requires an intelligence or craft check. He doesn't have craft, but he does have intelligence, which is a D6 for him. So we're going to try it. We're going to do a D6 and hope for a 5. I mean, Estra could maybe help him out? No. Yeah, we're going to try a D6 and hope for a 5. I don't think there's anything else he can do. So, whoa, no, not quite. Okay, so this gets banished. And I think that's it. So we're going to end the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He needs another card. 6. Okay, it is Estra's turn. She also doesn't have any blessings. She's gonna go to the Precious Mine. Oh, you know what she should have been doing? She could have been doing this the entire time, drawing cards from her discard pile. So I think I'm going to start doing that. She's going to go to the Precious Mine, though, and she's going to explore it as well. Another potion of healing. Who shuffled this? All right, she wants intelligence or craft. Her intelligence is a D8. That is pretty good. And we're going to try it. We're going to do this D8. And it was a 6. That was a success. So we take the potion of healing. She's then going to put Honair on top of her deck to draw a spell from her discard pile. She's going to take the Unshakable Chill spell. Unshakable Netflix and Chill. And then she's going to do the potion of healing on herself. And 1d4, so she gets 2 random cards from her discard pile get shuffled into her deck. I just realized, unfortunately, that means Honair is not necessarily on top of the deck anymore. And she's gonna end her turn there. Okay, it is Tup's turn. We're gonna discard a blessing. And let me just check these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We're just about halfway through it. Alright, so it's Tup's turn. He is going to I guess explore as well. It's a skeletal jackal, which is undead. So he's just going to try a just a standard blowgun attack versus it. So for his combat check, reveal this card to use my dexterity, ranged, or stealth skill plus 1d4. I may additionally recharge the card to add another 1d6. Now this is a piercing thing, so it's going to increase the difficulty. I don't want to use the I don't want to use the blowgun actually. I'm going to use Immolate. So discard this card to use my arcane or divine skill plus 2d4. My arcane skill is charisma d12 plus 1. So I d12 plus 1 plus 2 d4. And that was more than enough to defeat the skeletal jackal. And I think I'm then going to try to recharge it. I need a 7. I did not succeed, so it gets discarded. And that's going to be it for me. I'm going to draw a card. Okay, discard another blessing. It is Estra's turn. She's got pretty good monster bashing skills, so she's going to move to the quarry, which has the most monsters right now. And she's going to explore. Ooh, a toxic geyser. Difficulty to defeat is increased by twice this scenario's adventure deck number, which again is nothing, so it's a 5. So she needs a 5. And she can reduce the damage if she needed to. For most of these. It's not the fire damage. So she needs a 5, dexterity, acrobatics, wisdom, or survival. Well, she has very good wisdom. So she's going to try a d12 wisdom check. Yeah. Ooh, a 2. Okay. So then we're going to roll a d6. And it says a number of d6 is equal to the adventure deck number plus 1. Alright, so she's dealt 2 acid damage, discard a weapon or an armor. She's going to recharge this to reduce the acid damage. And then it says discard a weapon or an armor, but I no longer have a weapon or armor. Alright. And then I did not defeat it, so it gets shuffled back into the deck. The one barrier in that deck. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will draw 5 and end my turn. Tup's turn. Tup's turn. We'll go ahead and explore. Burning tar. Dexterity, acrobatics, perception, or craft. Ooh, burning tar. Okay. So he's going to try a dexterity, acrobatics. That's dexterity plus 2. So he's going to try 1d8 plus 2 to avoid this burning tar. That was a 5. It is not enough, so he's dealt 1d4 fire damage. It was a 1 fire damage. He's going to recharge the crocodile skin shield to reduce that damage by 2. So he successfully does not get killed by the burning tar. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we will switch to Estra's turn. So this will add to a wisdom, knowledge, or survival non-combat check. So it might be a good time to go back and close the stonework passages. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move back to the stonework passages. I'm going to add 1 die to my wisdom check by recharging this card. And so then I get to roll 2d12s. And I'm trying to get a 6. I got a 13. Okay, so I've successfully closed this location. And on closing, I may examine the top card of any location deck. I'm going to examine the Ruined Temple. Alright, it's a falling rubble trap. Okay. And then this has to be dealt with, so Tup has to try to recharge it with a 6. So he has d12 plus 1. That was a 5, it was not a 6, so he has to discard. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tup's turn. Tup's turn. Okay. And Explorundus. When you examine this card, you are dealt 1 poison damage, then encounter this card. Is there a way to get rid of the poison damage? I want to avoid the poison damage. Oh, I'm not examining the card, so never mind. I must encounter the card. If the check to defeat has the fire trait, add 1 die. That'd be cool. I already spent my fire thing, though. So I'm just going to use a blowgun on this. I'm going to use my dexterity or ranged skill. So actually I have a dexterity skill of d8. So I'm going to use a d8 plus 1d4. And I'm going to recharge the card to add a d6. So I'm recharging this weapon here. And I need a 9. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, that is not quite enough. So I am going to take damage, and I'm going to take poison damage. So I'm going to get rid of this Blade Guard as my damage. And then, since I was dealt poison damage, I must suffer the Scourge Curse of Poisoning. So I have to suffer Curse of Poisoning now. This is displayed next to my deck. While displayed after I reset my hand, recharge a random card for each Curse of Poisoning next to my deck. Lo, the fire burns hot in my veins. And then this gets shuffled back in. These early scenarios are always tough. The game, I think, tends to get a little easier as you go. These early scenarios are tough. Draw back up, and then I have to recharge a random card. Well, that was a random card. My Unshakable Chill. My Unshakable Netflix and Chill. Okay. So it is Estra's turn. Okay, we return. I believe we were on Estra's turn again. So we're going to flip another blessing. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Things are not looking great as far as blessings go. It's still possible to win, but not looking great. Alright, Estra's turn. So let's look at her hand. She got a lot of combat spells, so she's going to try to go to the quarry again and explore there. Ooh, the Bone Crusher Master. We've located the villain. So he was hiding in the quarry the whole time. When you're dealt damage by the Bone Crusher Master, first choose items to discard as your damage if you have any. Angry, brutish, and 50% fleas. This is what we know about gnolls. Alright. So, I'm going to try... doesn't really matter if I use Acid Jet or Unshakable Chill. But Acid Jet works very well against the construct enemies. So I'm going to use Unshakable Chill against the Gnoll. And I'm going to recharge a Blessing of the Elements to add a die to that from top. I don't know, I forget how long ago I got this Curse of Poisoning. I don't know if I've actually been doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it seems like he's been doing it properly. He must have just gotten it last turn. Alright. And he does not have the animal trait, so I can't use this. So basically I get 2d12s plus 2 plus a d6. And hopefully that's going to be enough. Okay, 2d12s plus 2 plus a d6 to get an 11. Oh, you know what? I need to temporarily close the Precious Mine, or at least attempt it. So I need a strength or melee check. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I could discard this to get an extra d4. That would be 2 d4s to try and get a 6. I'd still need to roll a 3 on both of them. I'm not rolling. I just want to see what would happen if I roll 2 d4s. That would be a 3. That would not be sufficient. I don't think I'm going to try it. He's not in a position to temporarily close this place. So I'm just going to try to defeat the villain. He's going to escape to one of these 2 locations. And it was a 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, more than enough. And look, it's even got a null on the artwork. Okay, so first things first, the location is closed, which means I must discard a weapon. I don't have a weapon, which is fine. And then all of these cards are banished. And alright, those cards are banished. I shuffle him in with 1 blessing from this deck. I don't know what the blessing is. And he's going to get randomly shuffled into one of these 2 remaining locations. So I'm going to roll a d6 to see how many more times I'm going to do this. 1, 2, and then shuffle. The reason I do that is I find that it sort of disrupts my thinking. You know, I'm not trying to keep count of how many times if you're shuffling 2 cards together, it's a little hard to determine, or it's a little hard to make it truly random. But so I just don't subconsciously try to keep count of it. I roll a die at the end and do it that many extra times. And I find that that helps. It at least gives me more of a sense that it's random. It makes it feel random. Okie dokie. Alright. And then finally, my Unshakable Netflix and Chill. I have to try to recharge it. So that is an 8 on a d12 plus 2. Ew, that was a 1, so it is discarded. Alright, and that will be ending her turn. So, she's just going to draw 1 card. Okay. It is Mr. Top's turn. Mr. Top! I am Mr. Top! Alright. So, he doesn't have any combat magic. So he's actually going to move over to the Ruined Temple, and he's going to explore there. The Falling Rubble Trap. Okay. So, Is it dexterity, acrobatics, perception, or survival? He's got good acrobatics. It's the D8 plus 2. And he's going to discard a Blessing of the Elements. And he's going to roll 2 D8s plus 2 to try to defeat this falling rubble. That's a 5, 6, 7, so that does defeat it. That means he may again explore his location. It's a blessing. Ooh, good. Blessing of the Ancients. It's a Divine 3 check. His Divine he does not have, so it would be a D4. And pretty much, I think, I mean, unless Estra, she could help him out, I guess. It's just a Blessing of the Ancients. That's a basic blessing. So he's just going to roll the D4 and see what happens. Woo! It was a 3. All right. And he's going to draw back up. 1, 2. Oh, you know what? He's got a remove poison spell. Or remove curse spell. He should just remove the curse from himself. Duh. Alright, he's going to recharge the remove curse spell. And cure himself of his curse of poisoning. Okay. Then he's going to draw back up 3 cards. Very nice. Okay. Discard another blessing. And Estra. Oh, you know what? I played at least one card that has the divine trait. Played this remove curse card for sure. I'm not sure, did I play anything else? I played a blessing that does not have the divine trait. This is funny that the blessing doesn't have the divine trait, but it doesn't. But this one definitely does, so I have to bury this card. That. Okay. And Estra's turn. She's going to move over here and explore. Well, she's still got combat magic, so she's actually going to move over here and explore the Precious Mine, which has more monsters in it. And it's a Ghost Scorpion. Okay, perfect. Alright, she's going to try the Holy Light against the Ghost Scorpion, and she's going to recharge the Porcupine to do even better against the Ghost Scorpion. So, she's going to roll a D12, 2D6, and D12, 2D6, and what does this Porcupine give her? What the hell? Oh dear. That was not there. Oh man. That was bad. I think it was like that. So what does the Porcupine give her? 1d8. Alright. So this will be easy. Okay, so she's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. That's more than enough. It has been defeated. And then we're going to recharge. Alright, that was a 7. That's not quite enough. So this gets discarded. And she's going to use the compass. So she's going to recharge the compass to move over to the ruined temple and examine the top card. And it was Deliverance. Okay. Okay, guys, I apologize. I did the thing again. I thought I was recording. I just took a picture. So, where I was, I basically just picked up, I had Estra's turn, I had Tup's turn. We defeated a mining construct, but we overkilled it, so we didn't get the item out of it. We closed this location successfully by burying a blessing. He got a blessing from the box, but it was just another blessing of the ancients. And he wrote Deliverance, or whatever the ram's name is, over to here. I apologize. And I realize that's probably why that video didn't get as many thumbs. Okay, so it is Estra's turn. So Estra's going to discard a blessing. She's going to move over here, and she is going to explore. You know, she didn't draw up at the end of her turn, did she? 1, 2, 3, 4. She should have drawn another card. 5. I'm pretty sure she had not drawn yet. So, yep. Explore Acid Splash. It's an arcane acid attack. That seems pretty good. I need an intelligence or arcane 4. How is her intelligence? It's a D8. And I could use a blessing of the ancients. I could use the blessing of the ancients to roll an additional die for it. What is this? For your combat or disabled check. That seems pretty good. Yeah, might as well. We're going to use a blessing here, and we're going to try and acquire it. We'll give it to Tup at the end. So that's 2 d8s for my intelligence check, and that is a success. All right, to get that in my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on my turn, I may recharge a spell to examine the top 2 cards of my location deck. If one of the examined cards has the undead trait, I may encounter it. So I'm going to recharge this Clinging Venom, because I don't think poison works on undeads. And I'm going to take a look at the top 2. Neither of them has the undead trait, so I put those back on the top. And I'm then going to use Onair, put him on the top of my deck to draw a card from my discard pile, or a spell card from my discard pile. I'm going to take Holy Light back into my hand. Oh man, she is good. She is really good. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to end my turn and draw 5. Alright, it is Tup's turn. Discard a blessing. And he doesn't have a lot that he can use. He does have an acid flask. We'll see. Burning Tar. Okay. Acrobatic, dexterity, perception, or craft. Well, he doesn't have great perception or craft, but he does have a fairly good dexterity. It does not have the trigger trait. I can use this, banish this card to use your disable or range skill plus 2d6. Let's see. So otherwise I would be rolling a d8 plus 2 to try to get at least a 6. I think I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the acid flask, use my disable or range skill. I'm going to use my range skill. I'm going to throw the acid flask, plus 2d6s. The Bane does not involve the acid trait, so I'm just going to, or invoke the acid trait. So I'm just going to roll. Alright, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, it's dead. Alright. This gets banished. And I'm going to end there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got to work on some healing abilities. He goes through his deck pretty quickly. Alright, we then have Estra's turn. Okay, Estra's turn. So we've got another Blessing of the Ancients. That's what he keeps wanting to have, so we can use this Pommet Clansman better. Okay. We're going to, I think, begin by recharging Remove Curse to look at the top 2 cards. Although I think I know what one of them is. I mean, we're not going to recharge it yet. I think I already looked at those 2 cards. I forget what the second one down is, but we'll see. Oh, it's Deliverance. Okay. And then we're going to recharge, remove Curse, and look at the next top 2 cards. Aha! It is Bone Crusher Master. Very nice. And it's another Acid Flask. But Bone Crusher Master, this is perfect. So, I need... Okay, it doesn't appear that there's anything that would benefit me to get out of my discard pile to help Tup. So I'm just going to leave it. What else can I do with Onair? Okay, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the end of her turn. Actually, yeah, that's the end of her turn. Duh. Okay. And then Tup's turn, we discard a Blessing. We were right near the end of the deck. I think Tup can do it. I think he can kill the Knoll, because he can use any card as a fire spell, but he also has this Unshakable Chill. Let's see. And he has a Blessing of the Ancients that he can use. But I think actually what he's going to do is he's going to just keep his turn as is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 cards. He needs to discard one. He's going to discard, I think, the Blowgun. And he's going to end his turn. And Estra is going to attempt the actual combat. So, discard a Blessing. Estra explores. And it's the Bone Crusher Master. Okay. So, she's going to try against the Bone Crusher Master. Oh, man. That poison that I had in my hand before was really good. So, she's going to do the Holy Light. She's going to do the Holy Light. Tup is going to... He's going to add a die to the check. So, and then he's going to recharge a card to add 4 and the fire trait. So he's going to recharge a card now. He's going to recharge the Unshakable Chill to add 4 and the fire trait. So we've got now 2 D12s plus 2 plus 2d6 plus 4. 2d12s plus 2 plus 2d6 plus 4. I'm pretty sure we've defeated this guy. Alrighty. 10, 9, 1, 6. He is defeated. Perfect. Alright, Bone Crusher Master is defeated. He cannot flee. That means, unfortunately, I do not close this location, but he is still defeated. And we have won the scenario. Bone Crusher Master. Okay, so oh, you know what? I didn't get this. I defeated a Bane that had the construct trait. I defeated at least one that was with Tup, so I do get to draw an item anyway. Let's see what he gets. It was an antitoxin. Okay, not necessarily something I'm keeping. And then we get a reward. We get some traders. So these traders are now added to my trader pool. I will mark that off on my sheet and I'll explain how that works. Okay, so this explains it right here. When you gain a trader as a reward, I've gained 2 traders as a reward for the scenario. Check its box below. At the end of any Mummy's Mask scenario, each character may visit 1 checked trader. So we've just gained Falsen Deek and Haddon Hoppert. So going to mark those boxes. And now we are going to trade. So how does this exactly work? All right. So, traders, let you exchange cards in your deck that you don't want for different ones. The Bazaar card allows you to keep track of the traders that you are able to choose at the end of each scenario. See after the scenario on page 18. After the scenario. You may blah, blah, blah. If you won the scenario, after gaining rewards, each character may visit a trader. Most traders list a type of card that they offer and a trade cost. Characters can pay the trade cost to get a card offered by the trader. Each character may visit 1 trader that has been checked off on the Bazaar card. Multiple characters may visit the same trader. First, display the chosen traders. Then for each trader, draw a number of random cards from the box equal to 1 plus the number of characters visiting that trader. These cards must be of the type that trader is offering, must have an adventure deck number equal to the completed scenario's adventure deck number, or 1 less than that number. Display these cards on the trader. Next, all characters may trade boons among themselves. Then each may trade with the trader. To trade with the trader, the characters may pay the trade cost by putting the appropriate number of and type of cards from her cards into the box. These cards must have an adventure deck number no less than 1 less than the scenario's adventure deck number. After paying the trade, these cards must have an adventure deck number no less than 1 less than the adventure deck number. Is that saying that it must be at least 1 less, or 1 less and no more than that? That's so confusing. If more than 1 character chose the same trader, these characters would randomly determine which character trades with the trader first. After you're done trading, shuffle any boons that remain displayed on the traders back in the box and put the traders back in the box. Okay. So we are going to go trading, and I believe Tup is going to visit Haddon Hoppert, and Estra is going to visit Falsen Deek. So we're going to... Whoa, I've completely messed those up. She's going to visit the spell guy, he's going to visit the item guy. Let's see what the spells are. 1 plus the number of players. Okay. So we have an Acid Jet and a Holy Light. She would like to purchase the Holy Light. She just needs to spend 2 boons to do so. Are there any boons that she doesn't feel like having? I mean, if she spends 2 blessings, she's just going to get them back again. It seems like that would be like a really easy thing to get rid of, because they're all basic. Alright, she's going to spend 2 blessings. And she's going to take the Holy Light. So the blessings get banished. And She doesn't really need Acid Jet because that's a basic spell, so that'll get banished. And then Falsen Deek is going to display 2 items, 1 plus the number of people visiting him. It's a Blade Guard and an Osirian History Guide. I don't feel a need to take any of these items, so I'm going to say no thank you. And we'll leave that how it is. Wow, that was anticlimactic. And then we rebuild the character's decks using the same number and type of cards. Okay, so I've rebuilt the decks. Got rid of these cards, Anti-Venom, Armored Kilt, and a few spells. Somehow Estra ended up with a buttload of spells, and I got these cards in the character's decks now. So basically, Tup gained Acid Splash and Clinging Venom, and Estra got the 2 Holy Lights that she had, and then a Cure spell. They traded armor. He got the nice new Crocodile Skin armor that she picked up. He gave her the Crocodile Skin shield so she can defend herself against his Pyromancy, or not Pyromancy really, Pyromania. He got the Compass, Blade Guard, and Fireward Gel. She got the Osirian History Guide and the Coal of Uncanny Discernment because she's going to be doing a lot of examining. Because she's going to be doing a lot of examining, she got this card which helps her against triggers. Whereas Tup is hoarding animals. And then we've got the blessings for each character, like so. And that makes up their decks again. So it is time to wrap up the scenario. I hope you enjoyed, and maybe see you for the next one. For now, though, that's all she wrote.